Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited you're all here. So this is a kind of a casual talk, to be honest, about fashion and circularity. So how circularity can actually fix the broken system of fashion. And this week is week of the circular economy. So that's why we decided to also focus on fashion and how circular fashion can play a role in that. And yeah, and this event is also organized by Palanta, which is a clothing rental platform where you can actually borrow clothes and embrace the circularity lifestyle. And as you can see, I am your moderator for today. My name is Martina Novakova, and I'm a fair fashion advocate with my platform with Fair Flair, but also I do creative strategy for different brands, mainly fair brands, and one of them is Palanta. So it's really exciting, but enough about me, because we have these three amazing women here, experts really, on circularity. There's Andrea Orsag, there's Rachel Cannegieter, I hope I pronounced it well, and Sarah Todd. So let's start maybe with Andrea. Hey, Andrea, how are you doing today?
Hey, Martina, many thanks. Super excited. I mean, the Dutch Week of Circular Economy, I mean, sounds really great. It's taking place for quite some time, year over year. So
It's
very
true.
happy that we will get a chance to dive into circular fashion today.
Yeah, me too. Like, if you don't know Andrea is a co-founder and partner of advisory called MissionC. So it's a strategy advisory based in Amsterdam, and their mission is to accelerate the transition to circular economy on a global scale. So it's quite a big mission, and we all need to have that. And she has a huge experience in consultancies, 10 plus years of experience talking about and combining risk management, strategy, and change management as well across industries. And she is helping huge brands and also companies to really embrace their sustainability strategy, how to refine it, how to really implement it. And last but not least, she also led the discussions last year during the Nordic Sustainable Fashion Days. So that was organized by Nordic embassies and the chambers of commerce. So she's also like expert, and she's a public speaker, and she's a moderator. She's everything. So I hope I will also lead up to your standards today. So there's two more people. There's Rachel. Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Martina.
Nice
to be here. Thank you so much. Really excited to be here.
The same. I really love that your walls are so colorful. Like, it really brings a different vibe here. So also this, and also we are quite colorfully dressed. So I feel like we are bringing the positive vibe in here. I hope everyone can feel it too. And if you don't know Rachel, so Rachel is the founder of Rethink Rebels, all the R's in there. So I see what you did there. And Rethink Rebels is a circular fashion agency based in the Netherlands, and the purpose is to accelerate circular fashion. So she's working with different brands and retailers to really embrace circularity, both strategically and pragmatically. And she will know more about it. Like, there's risk management as well, there's reporting, certificates. We will dive in some of those topics today as well. And she knows this industry of fashion quite well, because she worked in fashion for more than 10 years in different roles as a buyer, product manager, sales manager. And she also studied AMFI, which is Amsterdam Fashion Institute.
Yeah.
And she's now also a guest lecturer there on all the sustainable topics you can think of. So that's also quite impressive, I would say. Don't you think, Rachel?
Thank you.
So nice.
I still have a lot to learn more. You know, every day I learn so much more. So yeah, thanks.
I understand. Like I'm sure I will know. So I will discover so much today myself. When we had the discussion before, just that you know, I was really impressed what you were saying, and I'm really excited what we will be uncovering today. And last but not least, there is Sarah Todd from Palanta. Hello. I'm glad there's someone with white walls as well, because that would be very boring if I was the only one. And as you might know, Sarah is the founder of Palanta, which is the circular clothing rental that is organizing this event. And what is quite unique about Palanta is that they provide and offer only ethical brands, and also they focus on maternity clothes and baby clothes as well. So they really cater to all the seasons we might go through, especially when we need bigger size every month. So this is really sustainable and circular. So this is all for the introduction. We will talk, we have questions prepared, we will go through it. But if you have a question that will pop up in your head during the talk, feel free to use the Q&A button or a chat, that's also possible, and just shoot it away, ask questions, and we will get back to them at the end of the talk. So if you have any questions, please just feel free to answer. We hope we will go through all of them. So yeah, I think that's it. Is everyone ready? Yeah. Yeah, we should, like we were talking, we should have brought like a glass of wine, everyone, because it feels like we are hanging out. So if you like, if anyone needs to get that, feel free. It's already almost the end of the day, so no problem, I think there. So let's just start, like, let's get on the same page. So I would say we can start with quite a light question. So maybe Andrea, I'll ask you first. As we all know, this topic or this talk is about circularity. So, and of course, Andrea, you are the more than the expert in the field, as we all heard a few minutes ago. So can you briefly tell us what the term means and why we should talk about circularity in the first place?
Well, light question, right? I would say that's a pretty complex one, but let me try in a nutshell, at least provide an answer to that. So everyone is talking nowadays about circularity, or at least more and more people. And of course, like the big question is why we need it. And why we need it is the reason that right now we're really struggling with the climate change, with the biodiversity loss, and extreme weather conditions. This is actually also what came up from the World Economic Forum Global Risk Report. So it's not just like environmentalists or activists talking about that, but really people from all the different paths of life concluding that the failure to adapt to climate change is the biggest risks in terms of impact and also probability. So this is our future unless we do something. And right now we're operating on principles of linear economy. That means that we typically extract resources, we produce all those wonderful products that are making our life easier, and then we throw them away. And this away is actually a big part of the problem, because very often we think of those products or this waste at that point magically disappearing. But of course, it's still here with us. And now the question is, how is a fashion part of that? And what is circular fashion? So we ideally would like to create a system that is a closed loop, meaning we don't have to extract constantly new virgin resources, and we're not creating waste. And in that sense, circular fashion is a fashion where our clothes, shoes, and also the accessories are designed, sourced, produced, and then also used responsibly, which means ethically, effectively, with a goal to circulate for as long as possible. So the longevity is quite important. And at the end of the product life cycle, they can be disassembled, recreated, recycled into new pieces, or that they naturally break down without causing any harm to our environment. That, of course, means that they are designed also to last in a good quality, easy to adjust, repair, and they're typically the classic pieces going beyond just the trends, as we call it.
Yes, please.
And they're easy to combine. They're easy to combine, and ideally we can also share them because we have access to them. We don't necessarily have to own them. And that way, the circular fashion is then creating a system where creation of new items, and especially new items out of virtual resources, would be completely obsolete. We wouldn't need that anymore.
Yeah, that would be an amazing world to live in my opinion, to really reuse everything that we have, so we don't need to extract anything anymore. That would be like utopia in my opinion. It's like a dream. But of course, we always have to take the one step at a time towards it. And I really like that you mentioned fashion in a particular, because that's in the end like what we really want to dive deeper in it. So my second question is towards Rachel, as she's really the expert on the circular fashion here. Both circularity and fashion is your playground, I would say, after all. So my question is, how has the fashion industry been altered by the current situation, pandemic? Of course, like we know shops are closed, we know that's happening, but what is happening also beyond the headlines, beneath the surface?
Yeah.
And how do you think circularity can be a response to that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because beneath the surface, it's already what's going on there. And actually, the whole pandemic accelerated this. So we could all see for years that the current traditional fashion system doesn't work. We push down prices to the bottom. We do not take responsibility for both people and both the environment. And actually now we can clearly see, everybody can see that this system is broken. Retailers and brands that pushed, the risk down to the supply chain. And now with the stores closed, they also canceled their orders, which were already made, were already shipped. Yeah. And the whole system is that once the ordered goods have been shipped, and 3 months later, the brands and the retailers will pay the factories. Can you imagine that the whole system is wrong? The factories have to pre-finance everything. And down the bottom line is that the weakest chain here, the garment workers, they get sacked. So that you could see massive remigration. 40% are migrants, so everybody could see. And Clean Clothes campaign said, we need to step it up, and started this Pay Up campaign. Pay Up, creating this public protest and demanding brands and retailers to really take responsibility and pay up the duties. And do you know that that was a $16 billion of worth of goods? Can you imagine that the amount is like, I cannot even comprehend that amount. And you know what, a lot of people really also said, okay, let's join this hashtag Pay Up and etc. Really great campaign. However, still a lot of brands have to pay up. And now you probably also, sorry?
Yeah, let's just jump in, but please continue after.
Yeah. Yeah, jump in. But also now ASOS. Oh, sorry, say.
Yeah, so that I really saw the difference it made. But of course, as you said, there are still so many brands. But at the beginning, it was like a majority of brands didn't pay. And now it feels that everyone who is left are really the people that don't understand that this is their responsibility. And I think as consumers, we should act that way, that we will just support brands that made the difference and made change their minds. Yeah, definitely.
And this is what we as consumers or citizen, I really don't like to call myself a consumer, because that's like I'm really defining myself as just okay, I just consume everything that I can. No, let's define us as citizens, and really speak up. And if you think that your voice doesn't count, think again, because this really shifts that brands felt the responsibility, like, okay, now even everybody is saying and putting our names out there, we don't want that. And now, or yesterday actually, ASOS purchased Arcadia Group, which is known for Top Shop, Top Man, and Selfridges and so forth. And ASOS, they said they want to pay up, so let's hope they also do. But now Topshop also, the Arcadia Group also needs to still pay up. So this is really going on. So that, I think COVID really altered that. So what was already clear for everybody in the fashion industry now really also became more to the surface for everyone to see. And we don't want that. And you see the younger generations, they say, no, we want sustainable brands. We want brands to take responsibility. Right. And
it's true what you're saying, that I believe Zara used to have 52 seasons, like 52 weeks. Every week there was a new collection in their stores. So that completely dissolves at the moment, because there's no one needs to keep up. I feel like, how many clothes do you wear a week, really?
Yeah, actually, and Armani, obviously, he said, I go seasonless. You see some great impacts. You see that, okay, what is the use of seasons, and what is, we should really step aside from that. So it altered a lot, both for the complete supply chain, for citizens to be more aware of what's going on, and if they really want this. We now have a clear choice, and there's a lot of options which we will discuss later on.
Definitely. That brings me actually what you're just saying to Sarah, because she's one of these options. So Sarah, you're the owner, an owner of a fashion business in these times. Yet it's in the circular fashion. So how did you see the pandemic affect you specifically? And do you think you were affected in different way just because you are sustainable or circular compared to, I don't know, non-sustainable options on the fashion market?
Wow, thank you. Well, from my point of view, like the positive and negative effects of the pandemic on sustainability and the whole circularity, it's a really complex story. So from my point of view, I saw people who were more open to sustainability had eventually more time, doing researches before purchasing something from home. And also like this support your local movement went really good. So it reached those people as well who were maybe not aware of, supporting your local is a good thing rather than buying something from distance. On the other side, we kind of, like lost the social trust. So we're keeping distance. I saw many people like changed back from, I don't know, like reusable canvas bags to buying fruits in plastic just because of hygiene reasons. So there are a lot of changes, and Palanta is really like a new way of dressing up. And we are constantly like highlighting that, yeah, it's a new way, but we are also building our community on trust, and we trust our community, to like take care of the clothes, and the community can trust Palanta to clean the items and provide the hygienic basis of the items. For the unsustainable brands, it was also like a different year. They had to close their stores and everything, and I was really happy to hear about the pay up movement, just as Rachel mentioned, and also like more and more people started to raise questions, like even though if they weren't involved in sustainability and sustainable fashion, like what will happen with their collections from last summer, like where will that we go, So I was really happy to like see people asking questions for these brands, and I think it will change. But also like regarding Palanta, we launched in the middle of the pandemic, so in September. And our first customers, they were more like early adopters. So they were more than just customer. They came back, they give feedback, they suggested things. So, and we like adopted these changes in 2021. So now we are, on the way to really ease the weight of rentals. So it can be the next normal or the new normal, I can tell. And yeah, for those who were like really like maybe skeptical, or Palanta was like a really new, innovative idea of renting your everyday clothes, we are building the community on topics such as womanhood and sustainability, mindfulness, and circularity. So we are trying to be there for those as well who are not ready to rent yet.
Yeah, that's amazing that there are already options out there that really support the circular economy, that we try to and not only envision in the end, but we try to implement. Because in the end, I feel like there's always like a balance of these like really good ideas, but there's also these bad actors, like talking about also what was happening. I don't know if you know Boohoo, they had like a crazy Black Friday campaign with selling clothes for 50 cents. I'm not joking here. So to me, that was so heartbreaking. And I think that's something that we cannot take with us anymore to the life after pandemic, to the new normal, as everyone keeps saying. That seems to be quite still far away, but let's hope for the best. But that's really like where I want to also dive deeper into, like, where are we going right now? Because currently only 8.6% of the world economy is circular, which means more than 90% is still linear. It's still wasting all the resources and not putting it back to the economy. And talking about fashion, it's still the second most polluting industry out there, right after oil, which everyone, of course, understands that oil is nothing that we want to do with in the 21st century, but fashion is still kind of getting there to get that label. So with everything what we talked about, the trends, what's happening, I would like to ask both Rachel and Andrea, so feel free to start. Like, what do you see as the new normal or the next normal in the fashion industry? What we would maybe call what we call the so-called fashion industry now, if you can rebrand it like that. So I don't know who wants to start, because I would like to hear both of your opinions.
Let me pinch in then with some more data. Because you mentioned, Martina, indeed, like according to the Global Circularity Gap Report, the world is currently 8.6% circular. And of course, that's on average. That also means that there are some countries such as Norway that are less than 3% circular, or the Netherlands that are 25% circular. So there is quite a difference. And when it comes to fashion, it's actually only 1% of clothes that are made out of old clothes by recycling. So this is really very, very little when we're looking into the fashion industry. And of course, in terms of circularity, right now, the model that we're just buying unlimited amounts of very often cheap and poorly produced clothes just doesn't work. Also, as Rachel has been explaining, and not only because of sustainability reasons, but also because the social reasons. And there are, of course, like a couple of different models that can be considered circular. And those models are utilizing renewable resources, such as like renewable energy, for instance. And then, of course, we have designing for circularity. So clothes that are easy to disassemble, repair. And then we have sharing platforms that are providing beautifully access to rather than the ownership. Then definitely we are talking here about, well, we're talking here also about product life extension. So we're talking about more classic pieces, something that is of good quality and that lasts. This is also where I do believe we will also touch bases. How is that important for the rental business model? Because this is exactly providing access to over the ownership and providing a product as a service as well. And looking into what's been going on, as you very, very rightfully pointed out, it's 10% of greenhouse gas emissions, fashion, right? I mean, it's not only social issues, it's also a lot of water being really wasted. It's a lot of virgin resources. It's also a financial value. So Ellen MacArthur evaluated that annually we're discarding clothes that are worth of $400 billion. And this is just absolutely crazy. So with those figures, over to you, Rachel.
Oh, thank you. I love the figures. And actually, I think, circularity is a response to the current crisis. Crisis is an opportunity. And I think that's what, that's a positive message. Yes, we're all, okay, we love our structures, but this is the opportunity that we should all grab. And there's an imperative to act decisively to prepare for the next normal, because the new normal was actually after the financial crisis to 2012. And we're still, we learn something and everything, we learn a lot of new things in a crisis. But I believe this is the next normal. And obviously this is semantics talking and trend forecasters saying that. But I really like that because by the way, that's the kids running up and down. Next week they start school again. So,
we will Zoom call if they come by. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they love fashion as well. My daughter, she loves to reuse this jacket as well as a dress. But anyhow, what I would like to say is that let's be open to this huge opportunity. Also, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they say that the circular fashion industry holds an opportunity of $560 billion. Hey, come on, guys. We see a shift in consumer demand, especially Gen Z. They want more sustainable garments. They want more, responsible brands and this and that. And we have the digitalization, enhanced, making things more easier to rent online, to have your stylist online, to have your repair service online. For example, Patagonia, they have these great videos on every imaginable item that could break on a garment. And they show you how you could fix it. I mean, it's as easy as that. Okay, I cannot sue, but my mom is great at it. But, I believe that let's look at the opportunities. And I think just as Andrea said, we have to be clear about the environmental damage we have. And I love to have these workshops at brands, at retailers about life cycle assessments. And then you really see designers and buyers say like, oh my gosh, I really didn't know that using, for example, recycled cotton instead of conventional cotton has such an enormous impact on only one jeans or one t-shirt. And can you imagine the order volumes, that those numbers will only increase. So already at the designing phase, as also Andrea highlighted, that there are several strategies like circularity, durability, zero waste designing, that you need to become more smart. We need to have these numbers. We need to have open source data to really calculate our way through this and making smart decisions. Because if we already at the begin phase, the design phase, make these smart decisions, it's easy to, also communicate internally, to all the internal stakeholders. But it also helps the external stakeholders like customers and suppliers and etc. to make these decisions because, hey, we saved X amount of liters of water. Hey, we reduced X amount of percentage of carbon dioxide emissions, which is in direct contact with climate change. So I get just really excited when we just lift the spirits of people who work for, both sustainable and unsustainable brands, that they, through data, we become more smarter. And I think that's the key here, that the crisis gives us an opportunity to really, accelerate this.
Go.
If I may just absolutely jump into that. So indeed, let's look at it as opportunity. And because during the pandemic, majority of us was at home, working from home, spending free time at home, pretty much everything was from home. I think we also had a lower need for new clothes. It was a little bit about exploring our loungewear, comfortable, cozy clothes that were keeping us sharp mentally, because majority of us needed it even more. And it was wonderful to see. I think all of you have been mentioning it already. People started to dive through information, and we can see the rise also on the consumer side. People really looking more into secondhand options, getting good quality vintage rather than this like mass-produced items that they had to order online, because ordering online is beautiful and super easy indeed those days. The majority of the clothes also goes back. So that's, of course, another waste. And talking about the life cycle, I think it's absolutely important to also realize that the fact that it's end of product use for us, that doesn't mean that it's the end of product's life, right? I mean, you, Martina, if you're already done with your t-shirt, or Rachel, if you're done with your dress, that doesn't mean that I can't use it anymore. And that's exactly the beauty of it, where we can beautifully extend also life of those single products. So indeed, secondhand mending stuff even visibly became quite a trend. There's this a Japanese technique, help me out, what's the name of it? Hashiko? Yeah, it's like a visible mending that just became quite trendy. It's making the clothes even more individual. And nowadays, also linking it back to the younger generation, people really want to feel like they're someone special, that they have personality to it. It's not a product of this mass produced, which unfortunately this fast fashion was catering for.
That is very true. Yeah, I was just wondering, because this is like what we want to see, what we want to see as the next normal. So when we see these fast fashion companies, we see vintage and secondhand growing as an industry. We see like more people are buying secondhand. We see more people are interested in sustainable clothing. So maybe to Rachel, do you see in this whole new world, I might say, a space for fast fashion companies that their entire business model is actually unsustainable? Is there a way for them to allow? No, we cannot allow them. If they're profitable, of course they will be there. But
yeah,
how do you see it? Like, is there a space? Should we make the space at all?
So what I see is that, like, and Philippa K was one of the front runners in this, is that they already have these reuse options. So, whereas you had the beautiful, store with the collections coming in at a certain price level, obviously, the backside of the store with a different entrance offered reused items, and they targeted a complete new target group that cannot afford the first-hand prices, but they can afford the vintage pre-loved prices. So I would definitely say, hey, there is a huge potential here, and that's what you see now. Also Zalando, for example, adapting vintage or pre-loved sections. You see, and that is huge. I mean, they get enormous returns, and I think we should do something about it. Make citizens more aware of, do you really want to purchase something? Then think it twice, because you have to pay return services and but yeah, that's a different topic. But I believe that we should be more aware of what we purchase. In general, make more conscious decisions, sleep over it at night, know what suits us well. There are these ethical stylists, for example, shop in your own wardrobe, and it's amazing. And then try to find your own style, and then try to combine that with maybe rental. I really love the rental options, like for Palanta, because you get to know a brand, the size, the fit, the look and feel, and you do not have to purchase them, you know, directly. So it's really like a smooth, okay, I don't want to get married to you yet, let's first engage, you know, or have courtships together. So I think this is a great way of attracting a different target group. You know, you see Zalando, for example, but now also H&M now do this with the children's sections, and it makes them more aware. And yes, it will, you know, if you take one step, you need to take the second, you need to take the third. So it's slowly, gradually, you know, going to this change of taking our responsibility in general as fashion brands.
Right. That's amazing what you were just saying, like very concrete examples. And I also believe that the fast fashion might change as it is, but it will be still here in a way. We might not know which way and how they can adapt to everything what is happening in the industry. Hopefully they will also, as H&M, even though as a business model, they are not sustainable. I don't want to say they are, definitely not. But definitely the investment they put in sustainability and sustainable solutions moves the industry forward, I believe.
Yeah, definitely,
Also,
Martina. They can do much more. You know, the value distribution is key here, and that is, you know, our, I would say, classical economical model that the complete value distribution is completely off. So yes, it's just a small drop on you know, in a huge pan, so to say, but it's a small step. And I believe that sustainable brands, they lead the way. They show how it can be done. They are inspiring, and because they are inspiring, the big brands will pick up, you know. And I can imagine that if you're a sustainable brand owner, perhaps struggling right now, that is unfair. But I would like to keep on looking to the bigger picture here. You know, we all need to focus that fashion will be circular. And that is maybe a big, hairy, audacious goal, but I believe, it is a beautiful step.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to add, Andrea?
I just want to make it very clear, because indeed different people look at fashion from different perspectives, and we need to realize we're talking here about systemic change. So it's not only about consumers changing the way they dress and purchase all those beautiful clothes. It's also about business as usual that has to indeed completely change and overhaul their business models. And talking about whether fast fashion would be here, well, it would be extremely helpful to have legislation that would push them out of the market unless they're able to change something. And one very specific, more concrete policy like that is extended producer responsibility, where the brands would have to be responsible for the overall life cycle of their products, which is of course driving the prices up. So suddenly they would become less competitive as they are with the super low prices right now, because they would have to pay also for cleaning the water, fair prices, and so on. But so far, this is in practice implemented only in France for clothes and footwear. And it's really everyone within the ecosystem doing something and taking responsibility for their part they can play. Everyone has, of course, different part here. So that's what I wanted to add here. And I'm very happy that we're mentioning also those large brands, because indeed all of us know bits and pieces of small brands that are doing everything right from the beginning and really striving. But in the end, the real impact comes from a large scale. And those companies such as like H&M, just to mention them as a poster child for that, if they can really change the amount of water for one t-shirt, or if they're really able to implement new materials that they're using for their collection, then the impact is absolutely tremendous.
True. Yeah. Thank you for adding this, because I learned a lot by this, by what you just said. And talking about business models, we have this ideal business model called rental business model. So no one owns anything and everyone borrows it when they need it. And we have also Palanta here, so we can really also talk a bit more about it. in the next few minutes. So of course, like we can say, hey, this is the best solution, and people can agree. But how come not everyone is using it at the moment? Like, what are the benefits? What are the challenges? Because there must be a lot. Maybe Andrea, if you can also take this a little bit more bird eye topic.
Yeah, it's definitely one of great ways how to promote sustainability, because of course with a rental business model we're not the owners, but we have again access to it, so we can really add all the different styles without having this huge clutter in our wardrobe. And yeah, it also kind of pushes brands to create better quality items, because, and I'm looking forward to hear from you, Sarah, obviously in order to use and reuse and to clean it constantly for different customers, if it's of a low quality, you're pretty much done with it very soon.
Mm.
Yeah, that's totally true. So that was one of the reasons I chose to be, like the rental website where we only offer sustainable items, of course, because of the quality. And also my mission is really to support these brands out there. Yeah, just to, like as you mentioned, like to motivate them to keep on going, and yeah, they can change something in the fashion industry and create value.
Right. Yeah, and just to elaborate maybe on it. So what is your experience with this rental business model? What did you encounter you didn't see before starting? Is there anything, what do you think? Like maybe like, if, I don't know if it's maybe too much behind the closed doors, but if you can be a little bit more open about how the launch have been, like what have you encountered, like what you think the challenges are, but what do you really think that the benefits as a business owner and as a rental business are?
Wow. Well, that's again a complicated question. So we launched in September. So since then we had a massive lockdown in the Netherlands. So I was quite surprised anyways, like how many rentals we had. So of course, these were like people who were already aware of like these rental businesses. I also saw like people approaching, yeah, it's a really great idea, but I'm home, like in sweatpants. So I just show me an event and I can rent out something. So from customers or citizens perspective, it was like really good to see, of course, the change and the positive messages, of course. A challenge was, like it's always the thing with startups, so you have to adapt and you have to take into account all the feedbacks there. For example, like the shipping and the dry cleaning and like all this stuff. And now we have the MVP on as a website that we really would like to do it like in an application to really ease the way of renting. So there's still a lot to do regarding Palanta. And I can also tell that from the brand side, they were the ones who were already in the sustainable fashion. They already had the motivation to change the system. And I was really, surprised that they were like, like writing emails, reaching out, how can I be part of the platform? And this also evolved. So we've been part of many mentor programs in 2020, and there we like developed our services for the brand. So now we are not just like like a rental marketplace for them or like a one-time wholesale purchase partner. We continuously support these brands, and with marketing, with logistics, brand development, product development. So these services just, we just created these services because of their feedbacks. And I just really enjoy like being in this in this industry, because everybody is so open and transparent, and I really enjoy this. Of course, there are challenges because not many people like many people prefer still ownership, but I can feel that there is a change, of course. Like, we are not buying CDs anymore. We have Spotify, so I can see I can see the transitions here as well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for asking, because actually I do. And I think it's so cool that if we communicate the impact of rental, you know, that we show that, hey, most of our garments in the wardrobe, I mean, 80% we don't wear, you know, 20% we wear. So that 80% had a negative environmental impact, obviously, because we, you know, we took the raw materials from the ground. But the fact is that if you reuse an item, you know, multiple times, then actually, again, the life cycle assessment, that's why I really like to crunch the data, is it showing you that, you know, the impact, because you wear it multiple times, become less, you know. It's so amazing. And then I think also that could be a great benefit for sustainable brands, for example. On top of that, communication, transparent communication, because then it also shows like, okay, I got a cool blazer, a cool outfit here, and did you know that I saved, you know, X amount of this or that? Or it just has a responsible environmental footprint. It has been compensated, the rest value, for example. So yes, I do believe that there are a lot of challenges with take backs, with cleaning and stuff like that. But I really love this new way of not owning, you know, the shift of ownership, the successful Airbnbs and the Ubers, and you know, we need that for garments as well.
And also on the top of the environmental benefits, actually, the more we wear the garment, the cheaper is the cost per wear, right? I mean, there's some crazy statistics like how much on average people are wearing their clothes. I mean, it's really super sad. It's very often less than 5 times per item. I do believe not only for me, but for many people who are diving through this topic, it's really like difficult to understand. And there are, of course, like many initiatives like wear it at least like 30 times. If you ask me, even that is not enough, but okay, it's a start. So with a rental, indeed, I do believe the 30 times can be achieved quite easily.
Yeah, it does. The rental is kind of inevitable that we will just reach it at one, no matter what the trends will be, because every under industry is already kind of going towards this anyway. So there might be some challenges, there might be some struggles or something to jump over, but in the end I believe that it will be one of the leading ways how we wear clothes in the future.
Yeah, and Martina, I would like to add to that something too, because also especially for pregnant women, you know, who change in size, who do not definitely want to own that bigger size wardrobe. And I think that's amazing. And as well as children, they grow out of, I mean, seriously, they grow so fast, and that is great, obviously. But I think especially for those groups, you know, and specific also beautiful gowns or beautiful, you know, designer pieces, that could be really a benefit here.
Yeah, it's true, because even though there might not be rentals, I see a lot of people buying clothes and then returning it because they don't need it past the 14-day the day, like, I don't know how it's called, yeah, 14-day when they can return it if it's not broken or if it's not with a stain or something like that. So I see a lot of people do that. So it's kind of like a rental, but they don't pay anything for it. So I think there also the brands are losing a lot of money and a lot of revenues not having the option, because then even if you return it, or 14-day return policy, so if even when they return it, they might actually charge something. If you don't want to buy it, they can just borrow it for 2 weeks, and that would be it. That's like, I think there is definitely something some opportunities as we were talking.
Yeah, we need some lawmaking and governmental decision made on that level, obviously, with the tax and the returns and you know, shipping front and back. I mean, I love convenience, who doesn't, you know, but I think, you know, do we really need to, when we order it now, 1 minute before 12 o'clock, we need it tomorrow? Seriously, you know, we can, let's think about it. Let's take a pause. And that's also one of the benefits, obviously, of the whole Corona pandemic, is that we had to, you know, we wanted to stay more at home. Now, well, there you get it. Okay, you know, and take time. And I really love the documentary launched, I believe, yesterday or today from Take It Slow. It's also to realize and get grounded, like, hey, and that's also what I really like, that, you know, with the rental, it gives you time to get acquainted with a new style, or, you know, if you want to try out something. So yeah, that's something I wanted to add.
Right.
And also just like when we're buying something, there's actually a psychological proof that we're super excited, and the most excited when we actually get the item. So it's like, ooh, something new, and we're super psyched, right?
Yeah,
but
the
then, like,
endorphin
after
rush.
the 2 weeks, exactly, after 2 weeks, it really goes down, and we're sort of almost like back to normal with the item. Whereas like with a rental, you could really try more items that way, and you still enjoy them during your rush, and then without having a clutter in your wardrobe, you just send them back, and you can choose something else and get a rush again.
That's what we want, without actually deploying the planet, of course. So I think now we have also, before we run out of time, so I really want to open the space for questions from the audience. So please shoot now or regret later. I don't know. So feel free to, if there is a Q&A button, you can submit your questions through that, or there's chat. So we are waiting for your input. Anything else before we get questions? Anything else anyone wants to still share here?
If I may, I just want to say that buying is very often also just fulfilling some sort of void, right? Again, it's this excitement or comfort, or many people, when they feel down, they feel like new purchase would make them happy. So the way to go could be to think about more why you need it. Why are you really buying this piece? Is it really because you need it? And of course, with fashion, that's a crazy question. Like, do we ever really need it? But at least, like, do you already have something similar? Will you be able to combine it? Will you really be able to get good value out of it? Can you share it maybe with someone? Would you be able to resell it? Is it of good quality? Will it last? There are all those beautiful questions. My personal trick is, when I'm buying something new and I'm trying to be very conscious about my clothes, it's just like asking myself this question: would I wear this piece of item while I'm talking about sustainability? So if the answer is no, then it's a very clear answer also for myself to myself.
No, I understand. Okay, we have one question, but I first have to read it, to be honest. We are just learning here, obviously. Bianca asked, someone said, oh, that was Andrea, I believe, that 25% of the Dutch economy is already circular. To Bianca, it was a positive surprise, which I agree with you, actually. I was also quite surprised. I thought it was also quite... so she's asking now, which industries do have already good score? So what are like the leading industries in the Netherlands in terms of circularity? If you don't know, it's fine.
I want to say it very clearly that that's the report that was actually evaluating the Dutch economy. It was done by Circular Economy, so there's the whole report to write about that. The industries that we're typically looking into is, of course, plastics, how plastics are performing. Another really big sector is definitely construction. So buildings and how we can reuse bits and pieces out of that, and a food system. So Netherlands, I don't know, Bianca, from where you're asking this question, but Netherlands has this overall strategy to become 100% circular by 2050 and 50% circular by 2030, so 9 years to go. And actually, even the city of Amsterdam has a circular economy strategy that was literally introduced last year. So quite a lot of goals. And I do believe having strong targets really pushes people and gives a good motivation. I highly recommend reading this report. You can find also the one that was done on Norway from last year, and more countries such as Austria are joining too.
So Meg is asking, how do we, and I think that's more regarding the rental business model, especially regarding clothing. And she's asking, how do we compensate for that this is not completely new feeling? So meaning that if you rent, of course, it might have been rented before. So who wants to take that? Maybe Sarah or Rachel?
I can take that. Well, regarding Palanta's platform, so even though you won't receive like something completely new, you can still have the feeling of like supporting a sustainable label, you know, because they are really creating quality. You can trust Palanta team that we only send you items which is like in good quality. So they also have like, you know, of course we are aiming to prolong the life of these garments, but of course if we find it like it's not suitable for rentals anymore, we will also like we can sell it like as pre-loved or vintage, so we won't throw it away. So yeah, I mean, it's like a lifestyle to, of course, like implement these kind of changes in your life, so you can be compensated by knowing that you're doing good. It's kind of similar when you are purchasing, I don't know, soy milk, for example. Yeah, I think it's a nice feeling to have.
Nice. Yeah, I would prefer oat milk, but I think that the feeling is the same. And yeah, we have one more, well, two more questions, but I really want to answer the question from Marie. I think that's very relevant, even though it's not maybe about circularity, but we can also relate it to the circularity movement. So asking, how do you think the sustainable community or the circular community be more inclusive communities that are not as privileged to adopt this lifestyle, or might not have the time, or even if it's rental, it can be still quite expensive and it cannot be affordable to everyone. So
yeah, can I respond to that? Well, there was this research that the fast fashion brands, and I'm not gonna call out any names, but because they are psychologically so cheap, you have the idea, I can buy a lot, you know, I can, and then a lot of times people go over their spending budget. So it even brings them to a even lower poverty scale, if you could say it like that. So yes, I do agree. Hey, is this inclusive for everyone, this sustainable fashion industry? I think it should. I think we are now in a transition. We have to understand that sustainable brands, so small startups or scale-ups, you know, they have to have these MOQs. This is minimum order quantities for fabrics, for garment pieces, and etc. And because the system is just not is designed for massive consumption, let's say it like that. So they also struggle. It's not that yeah, that's it's that easy, let's say. However, you can see now developments like technology platforms like Queen of Raw, which is an American award-winning company, and they use blockchain and artificial intelligence to really connect the buyers to the sellers of fabrics that are left back, you know, in the factories, which is great. And they use geolocation to, you know, have limited of transportation in between. So then as a sustainable brand, you're more you're enabled to also produce smaller quantities. And I think in general, we have become accustomed to a price that is not a true price. Perhaps you have heard about the company True Price, and they also show, okay, hey, if we withdraw raw materials from the earth, then we should actually compensate the environment, you know, for the damage we bring. So in that sense, I think the current prices are too low, especially for everyone to have the a decent living wage.
Indeed, Vinted became last year and the last 3 years very, very popular, buying also smaller platform, and it has so many users. I have to admit, I received invitation as well. If you go through it, there are a lot of quotes that are of fast fashion, so to say. However, I still think this is a great option for many people who are searching for something, some specific items, because they have all the different brands there, also some luxurious brands, also some fast fashion brands. You always see the quality, you can always chat with those people who are selling those items. And yeah, I do believe not everything will necessarily get sold there, but I do believe it's a great option how to score some beautiful secondhand options in a short.
Thank you. We have a question for Rachel. So, there's an owner of a small brand, and the person is asking, how do you see joining a rental marketplace for a small brand? How is about the added value?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think collaboration is key in becoming more sustainable, and also to launching your label. So they will have connections, you will get introduced here and there. You know, it's all word of mouth actually. So I believe that collaboration is key, and also you get exposed to, you know, a lot of data, because this platform probably has a lot of data to share with you. So you know, especially when my customers are online, when do they purchase, what do they like, what do they don't like. So you get a lot of massive information here. And I think that's key into pinpointing towards your target group more better, and to become more a commercial success, because you want to grow. And I think that's a huge added value for sure.
Well, I think we have 1 or 2 questions, but if we didn't answer your question, we will answer it in email. Yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this conversation, that you took something out of it, that you also had fun. I hope that was also quite a nice way to end your evening, work day, I mean, and then enter your thing. And I really want to thank you all the experts and panelists, we call it, Sarah, Rachel. Thank you so much for what you brought to this table.
Thank you.
And you know where you can find them. So if you want, follow them on social media, or just check their website and see what they are doing in terms of sustainability, because I think it's worth checking out for sure. And yeah, we will have more events like these, so you can also see that on those channels.